Welcome to Le Foot, your podcast about French football, and in this week's packed episode we will discuss the latest turn of events in Ligue 1 as Monaco grabbed massive 3 points away at Parc des Princes, which narrows the gap to Lens to one single point. Since last week, Marseille has both lost and won against Toulouse, and the fans, they are furious. Same can be said about Nantes, where a rescheduled match has caused a stir. This will be talked about, as well as the upcoming hot matches in the Champions League and Europa League, where PSG, Lyon and Lille, they all have tough opponents waiting. Club of the week is Stade Brestois, and we will painfully dissect our predictions and get back on the horse, bringing some hot, new, fresh ones. On y va.
Hello Jeff, hello Charlie.
Hello.
How are we doing this week?
I'm doing
Jeff?
good. It feels so good to sit here in the basement. First episode in the basement, and I think it's gonna bring some magic. What do you say, Jeff?
Yeah, you could call it the basement, but also the boardroom.
The board. It's both.
It's both. And no, I'm doing great as well. I think we can start with the recap of all of our tips that we had last week.
Oh, painful.
Painful. So I said last week that there would be under 2.5 goal Nice playing Rennes. Rennes smashed Nice with 4-0. So it was not close, but to my defense, Nice played hard 120 minutes just a couple of days before in the Coupe, winning against Lorient, but a long 120 minutes. But my tip was not good.
And to fill in there, I think 3 out of 4 clubs who went through in the Coupe, they actually all had a hangover this week, dropping points. So I think you're onto something. And I talked about Brest, Le Havre, and we were going to see a red card, but everyone kept in shape, and we didn't. But hey, you need to try, right? But then you were close, Dennis.
Yeah, that was a close. Yeah. Last minute, one could say.
And we're going to get to that game, but I think that was close for real.
Yeah.
Paris FC, one could even argue they deserved those 3 points.
Yeah, I would say so.
And that was the crazy one.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Paris FC win, actually.
First game of game week 25 was Paris Saint-Germain against Monaco on this Friday. A good game for sure, and a bit of a game for Monaco to bounce back towards Paris Saint-Germain, considering they played each other back-to-back in the Champions League before that. And Monaco went away with a 3-1 victory, and well-deserved, I must say.
Totally agree, well-deserved. And Monaco with Pochettino starting to look like a good team. And PSG had a lot of ball this match. They had driving the game forward. But then you look at Monaco, similar to how they were in the Champions League, they're always threatening. They're always dangerous. They're not going to let you rest. And 3-1, it's a big result. And you have Balogun scoring again. I think it started off, when you look at 0-0, then you had some, I think, messy defending in the PSG defense. They should have gotten rid of the ball. Instead, Akliouche could score.
Was Emery with the ball, was it?
Yeah, I think Emery was... I don't know exactly what he was thinking there, but it was too brave and naive in a situation where he should have played it cool. So then eventually you have Balogun snatching up the ball and bringing it back to Akliouche. You could argue, should the goalie have a hand on that shot as well? Not sure, it's close.
I think Sofanov did a decent game. He had a couple of good saves, and he could not really expect Emery to lose ball within their own goal area, so tough one. But Golovin scoring 2-0 just after being on the pitch for like a minute, and that was a beautiful goal.
That was a beauty. Yeah, and I think he's been disappointing for some time when Monaco has been struggling, and I think to see him back scoring a goal against his countryman as well, it's impressive. But we need to say now, Balogun has scored plenty in the last couple of games, and he's starting to shape up to look like a true center forward. And at 24 years of age, it's about time, because he was a big talent who... he didn't really get to maybe the point where he thought in his career at age 24, but, it's always nice with a late bloomer as well. And then you, of course, have Barcola scoring a goal, but apart from that, I would say 3-1, it's a fair result. Having dominance with the ball is always a bit misleading in the statistics, because I think Monaco was dangerous this match. But I have a question. I'm wondering something. Should PSG fans be a little bit worried? Because I do think that they have lost a few games now that we are not used to seeing PSG losing. I think Monaco, you also have Rennes, of course. They lost the first game against Monaco as well in the autumn.
I mean, the team of a caliber of PSG, I mean, they are still in the Champions League, they're top of the league, and we're still, asking ourselves whether they're doing as good as they should. I mean, they still got everything to, continue and go along. But I mean, yes, there is a bit of inconsistency, and we have brought that up before. So yes, it's worth asking the question whether they should perform better, but they're still top of the league. They have everything in their own hands. But the games are going really tight now. I mean, they play, we'll talk about it later, but Chelsea soon after. I mean, if they go out there, yes, this season will not go as planned. So they still need to be there. And then I think it's worth, like, Dembélé came in with 30 minutes left. Is he, ready to come back and perform from the injury he had? He's been out for a few weeks. Like, will he be able to play on his best level going forward? So it's really, this time of the year, game per game, they need to perform.
Yeah, for sure. Tight with all the games now, and no Coupe to play for, but for sure, interesting period for PSG.
Next game, we have Lyon versus Paris, and we end up with a draw. Luckily for Lyon in the last minute.
I watched this game and it was highly dramatic. I mean, you had the intensity. You had two teams that wanted 3 points. And it was the Sunday evening game. I mean, the temperature, everything was there. It was such a joy to see. But given your prediction, I of course hoped for a Paris FC victory, and it was so close. Lyon, I must say, they dominated this game from start to finish. But eventually you have a Munetsi goal, his third in 3 games, and you actually could start seeing that Lyon, they do have issues. We've talked about it for multiple weeks, that they actually got maybe a bit more results than they deserved. And now they started losing, and this one they could as well have lost. I mean, of course, chasing an equalizer in the end, they really tried hard, but the biggest chance still went to Paris FC. So if Paris FC and Munetsi had scored 2-0, or even in when he shot that shot, and then you had Greif doing a great save, but Koleosho had a header he could do on the rebound, but he hit the crossbar instead. If it would have been 2-0, it would have been game over. But instead Lyon is keep on pushing, and eventually gets a penalty from a handball that I don't know what to say. It's touching the hand. I mean, a little touch. Maybe by the book of rules, it's a handball. But I think it's so annoying in the end of the game when you have the perfect away game play from Paris FC. They need these 3 points as well. And then you get that penalty, Tolisso tucks it away, and you have 1-1. I don't know, Jeff, what do you say?
I mean, considering now that Lyon is playing on 3 fronts, they played in the Coupe before this game against Lens, also 120 minutes, tough game. Scoring late there also as in this game. It's playing out its right. They don't have the squad to be able to compete on these 3 fronts. But yeah, I agree to the fact that I think Paris FC had a very well-established game plan before the game. They played at the best of their capabilities, and perhaps they were really close to get away with the 3 points. But it also, I think, sends a signal that even though Lyon hasn't been winning in the past 4 games, they have the belief on themselves that they can win, considering they came back late here and also in the Lens game, even though they lost on penalties. So I think for Lyon now, perhaps it's just better to focus on the league, get a Champions League spot, and continue well in Europe.
For sure. And then I must call out that we've talked a bit about Sulc. He's been away now for a while, and they do miss him. Endrick also just played 25 minutes and didn't make a significant impact. But I also say the starting three up there with Abner, Himbert and Karabec, none of them really showed that they should be in the starting lineup, I think, for Lyon now in this clutch time of the season. I think they need Endrick back starting games. They need Sulc back soon to keep because in the final third, I would say Paris FC, they defended well, especially I think Camara, but on top of that, I mean, in Lyon, I think the best player was Niakate in defense, the captain. And that says something at home versus a newcomer into the league. It's not good enough.
No, definitely not.
Ligue check. We have Lens only 1 point below PSG now at the top after trashing Metz with 3-0. And another fantastic goal. And this time it was by Haidara, who scored a beauty. And I think it's so nice that we get to see this title race. I mean, it makes you happy to have teams competing on the top. And it's back and forth now. I mean, Lens drop points, then they win, and then PSG dropping points, back to winning. It's really a title race that we could dream of this season.
Yeah, and important for Lens just to grab those 3 points, and they did so magnificently. Absolutely trashing Metz. As we know, Metz is not the best team in the league, so a win was what you could have predicted. But still, I mean, they have a lot of pressure going into this game, knowing the facts that PSG lost 2 days before. 2 days before the game, Lens played Metz. So important 3-0, put the pressure up on PSG, and Lens doing very well. So great to see.
Then we have Derby de la Loire. We talked a bit about it last week, and we have little brother Angers beating Nantes. And we're going to get a bit to some happenings around that match, but it's an important result for the bottom of the table, where Auxerre at the same time grabbed an important point versus Strasbourg. Actually, Strasbourg, I would say, dropping points there in an away game against the bottom team. Gary O'Neill can't be too happy with 1 point coming off that.
Auxerre is still struggling to score. We know defensively that they are doing well. They don't concede that many goals, but it's just the issue of actually scoring the goals.
And they had some chances this game, that's for sure. That's for sure. And Sinayoko, I mean, what happened? You had Namaso, Sinayoko, Danoise doing great things for Auxerre, but as you said, the goals are lacking, and they find themselves still with a gap up to Nice, which can't be fun now coming into this part of the season where it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be tough. They need to find a way of winning. And but 1 point against a good performing Strasbourg. And here again, you talked a bit about it earlier, Jeff. Would you say that playing in the Coupe makes tired legs now? Because Strasbourg, you would expect them to at least score a goal or be closer to a victory than this.
I think so, definitely. I mean, if they wouldn't have played against them, they would have had better chances of grabbing the points or grabbing the victory towards Auxerre. But I mean, we know Auxerre, they play well defensively. They have a very physical team. So I think a draw, considering how the game played out, was an even result. And we also spoke about that topic, last week, saying that what would you rather win? We spoke about Marseille and Toulouse when they played each other back to back. Like, would you rather win in the Coupe or would you rather win in the League? And I think for Strasbourg now, I mean, looking at them going into the semifinals, they have a good chance of winning the Coupe.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, looking where they are in the table now, they got a couple of strong teams ahead of them. I think winning the Coupe is something what the players, Gary O'Neill, and the supporters really want. So they're probably going to go full on in the Coupe.
Yeah, I totally agree. They should prioritize that. I must mention another goal. It was Arthur Avoum for Lorient away to Lille. 90 plus minutes, he scores what could be a goal of the season contender. It's a must watch. I think it's a goal of the season contender. And also doing it that late, grabbing a point away in a tough away game, it's just a must watch. But we need to stop a bit here and talk a bit about OM. We need to talk also a bit about Nantes, because things have been happening and feelings are being felt. There is emotions on high. You talked, Jeff, about us discussing. I think, Dennis, you also said you would rather take the league win than the Coupe win. But I can say that the Marseille fans, after the exit in the Coupe, are fuming. They went to play the double burger, second leg then against Toulouse. They grabbed the 3 points. But if you think the fans would be happy with that, you need to think again. They actually had a banner rolled out towards their own players, which stated, "You are all pieces of shit."
That's rough.
And that's despite the victory. They kept having it up to tell the players what they thought about them. And after the game, they booed the players, even though they won.
It's
so
passion.
I think the Coupe win was prioritized.
Yes, in second hand, yeah.
But we need to mention, Greenwood scored the winning goal. He's, top of the goal scorer list, but I think something is definitely going wrong at Marseille at this point. Because we talked a bit ahead of this week as well about sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
And that's too true. It's almost like you could start betting that one week they win, the next they lose.
Yeah.
Because it's getting ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, they're very inconsistent.
But what do you think? Are the fans being harsh?
I think it's nice to show passion.
Yeah.
However, I don't see, given their moral judgment, if I can say that, the team itself, it seems like that is probably not the best thing for the players to see.
Okay, you're arguing against the what effect it will have in terms of motivation.
Yeah, I think it weighs quite heavily.
But I think that's a tricky one, Jeff. Where do you stand on that one? Because that is, of course, an aspect that how does the players feel about certain messages being pointed out?
I think there's two sides here, right? You have the supporters and then you have the players. And the supporters, for a lot of them, this means so much more. I think taking Ligue, I think most people would agree that the passion and the fan base in terms of teams, that Marseille, football-wise, not the best, but supporters, they are definitely up there. But then going so strongly against their players, which, you're all pieces of shit. It's obviously towards the players, but then also the board and everything. But it's towards the players. I'm not sure if it's the right way to go, even though that's what you feel. Taking a look at a lot of players to Marseille. Also knowing they got players on loan. We got players who might not, they're not from the youth academy. They're not been there for 5 years. They're not going to be there for an additional 2 years. There's a lot of them players, right? I don't know what they really feel like when they come here and they want to, get their career going, or they want to get back somewhere. And they also want to perform. I don't think they dislike the club, but just showing so many shit at the players here when they know there's been a lot of turbulence. 2 months ago, things were looking very well, and now they're here. I'm not sure if it's going to, help the players and also the team then, going forward. Considering where they are now, it's a tough one.
But I think you're referring there to things earlier this season, and I agree. I think it's stocking up the emotions, like you said. It's not just going out in the Coupe. I still think the 3-0 loss at Bruges plays a part in these emotions, because these fans feel betrayed. I think they have no love left for many players in this squad when this is what they've been given the PSG is out of the Coupe. I think that does things to your hope about winning a trophy finally, first time in a very long time, and you being mocked by other supporters about how long time ago it was since you actually won a title, and then you get to know that now is not your year again, because there is no other title to play for. And I think going out in the Coupe, yes, they won in the league, and I think maybe at some point in this season, if they grab that direct Champions League spot, they can be happy about the stability that brings to any European team. But I think missing out on a title and then looking down there at players like Greenwood, Aubameyang, Højbjerg, you have the backline defense, I think the hate just boils over. I can understand it, you know.
They do have a good team also. I think that's where it comes from. Like, if they wouldn't have a shit team and going out against Toulouse, that'd be one thing. But they have a good team and they should be able to win against Toulouse. And I think, the season would have definitely been saved if they would have won the Coupe and grabbing the top 3, which, it's far from done there, but they're very much capable of doing so. So I think, going out against Toulouse here and not like in a final towards Lens or something like that. I don't know. I just think the fans have had enough. They're a bit fed up.
And then we have Nantes, which is another story of emotions. They lose the derby, and here again I want to talk about emotions, but this is actually before the game. What happened, to give a bit of context, is that PSG is facing Chelsea now in the Champions League this week, and then next week again in the second leg they face Chelsea. PSG and the league has requested to change the date of the match PSG-Nantes this weekend. And apparently Nantes president, he has approved this. And the non-fans, of course, see this as you're just meeting PSG demands to make it easier for them in Europe. And of course, the league could have an interest in that. But then there was a protest where supporters actually made their way close to the president box in the stadium ahead of the game versus Angers. And they threw a lot of leaflets with caricatures of the president polishing the PSG president's shoes with some clear messages that this was not good. And if we start there,
what does Nantes have to benefit of this?
I would say, the argument they are making is that when PSG is playing this tight schedule, they have a better chance of grabbing something. Imagine PSG right between the Chelsea fixtures. They might need to air some players out for the second leg if it's an even result in the first leg versus Chelsea. Then maybe they'll put, some players on the bench versus Nantes, and then the Nantes supporters will believe we need the best possible chance to grab at least 1 point in this bottom race where we are actually going to be relegated. And then to approve that, instead of saying, no, we're not going to move this match, we're going to face you right when you have a tight schedule, he says, yeah, okay, for the better, I guess, for you guys, we'll do this. But I think it's strange for a president. Why would the non-president approve it?
And why is he even the person approving it?
Yeah,
it should be the league. And Chelsea is playing games back in England. I don't see
why. Yeah, because that's a good one. You can even take it back to why is it even a question to move a game? I agree. That's the best solution. I believe that it shouldn't be possible. It's like the French Football Association, the League Association, thinking about its own interest, having a successful team in the Champions League, and sometimes we see that in other countries as well. When they have one very successful team, they do change things around to accommodate that team's needs. But I agree, Jeff, here that the main point might not be what is the president of Nantes doing. It should be that this shouldn't be possible whatsoever, because even Lens could argue, don't make the schedule easier for PSG.
Yeah. Exactly. I was just going to say that if I would be a Lens supporter, I would see Nantes' chances of grabbing a point towards PSG when they have a busy schedule here, right? I don't know, maybe they rest some players because they lost the first leg against Chelsea and they want to focus in the Champions League. Nantes go from 5% to 12%. And if they get a draw there, those 2 points that PSG lose towards Nantes might be what's decide who's the winner of the Ligue when we summarize the season.
Yes.
So, from a Lens perspective, I think this is just ludicrous also. And that's, the league should make these kind of decisions, and they should make it objective. And I think it would be a no-go from the beginning. I mean, you plan these league games for the teams to be able to play both in the league and out in Europe. I don't know. I think it's really messy.
It's messy, and as a protest, I must say that it is. I would say it's on the right side. Throwing papers with caricatures mocking the president in Nantes. I think it's the right way to make your voice heard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we see sometimes emotions going into violence, etc. This is at least, I would say, a bit of a creative way to try to make a statement that don't think you can move matches on our behalf for the greater good of PSG.
I mean, considering this, what if Strasbourg would have been in the Champions League, right? Playing against Chelsea. As we've discussed earlier, they both have the same owner. I mean, this would have never worked because then everybody would have went crazy saying that like they're helping the bigger team in that consortium, right? I mean, that would never be able to happen.
No.
So why is it even allowed to happen? I mean, considering the same scenario, but the teams are not, I mean, it just can't be.
And to that point, there's 3 other French clubs playing in Europe. Why shouldn't all French clubs playing in Europe's matches be moved? Now it feels a lot like it's catering for the best club, the richest club, the most powerful club, PSG. But what about Lyon going to Celta Vigo on a Thursday, then playing back in the league? No, I think back to your point, Jeff, no shifting of the match weeks. I think it's much better to just keep it as it is. PSG can also afford to rotate with the bench that they have compared to many others.
Club of the week. We have the team in Ligue 1, which is the favorite team in Ligue 1, if you speak from a Michael Richards, Jamie Carragher, and Thierry Henry perspective. We have, to you, Brest.
Start Brest to us, Dennis. Give it to us.
Yes. So, little bit about Brest. They have a famous castle, Chateau de Brest. And
really?
Yes. Yes. And it's from the Middle Ages, and it's over 1700 years old. So it's
old Brest.
I'm no history expert here, but I love the fact that it's from the Middle Ages, but it has 1,700 years of history.
Yes.
How does that add together?
don't question the.
We're not a history podcast.
No.
But I like. So
how we acquire data.
I like it. I like this
question.
Ambivalent castle history. Very good.
Yeah. And then we have some nicknames actually for Stade Brest, and it's Les Pirates, or the Pirates, and as well as Les Tussef, which means the little winds.
But they must be close to the ocean then. Where are they located geographically?
I mean, it's northwest France, so yeah. Not too far from the UK, actually.
Okay.
So you can imagine this seafaring town.
But Normandy then, or more west?
It's in Brittany, yeah,
okay.
in Bretagne. So, I mean, not direct below the UK, since its coast is heading towards the south, but on the northwest side, and I can imagine a lot of rain and wind. When you think about the little winds, I can imagine pretty strong winds. But I must say, Le Pirate, I love that nickname. I think it's one of the best ones in Liga.
Yeah.
For sure. I think Monaco being called the Red and Whites is not as feisty as the Pirates, you know?
No, definitely not. And then first known as Armorican de Brest, and created in 1903. To up until 1950, where they then became Stade Brestois, born from 5 different patronages, which merged together. So it seems like the team and the town had a bit of a rough history in World War II, of course.
Yeah, and then of course many clubs becoming one. It's always interesting when you think about that. We talked about Lyon. It was the same year, 1950. So big year for French football. Several clubs being formed into what they are still today.
Yeah,
76 years later.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. And then we have a very famous French player who's played there, only for, I guess, a bit more than one season, but Franck Ribéry. And he helped them secure the promotion of Stade Brestois to Ligue 2 in the early 2000s.
When I think about Franck Ribéry, I think about Bayern Munich and his time there, Bayern München. It's but what a player.
Yeah.
And of course as well France, but I would say Bayern München is my view, and the shirt that he's wearing when I can picture that face. What do you say, Jeff? Franck Ribéry?
Yeah, I mean him and Robben on each side.
They were
for
dangerous.
That's what you remember. But Franck Ribéry has also played for some other really big clubs, even though you remember him mostly from Bayern Munich. He's been to Marseille, also Fiorentina. But yeah, he was in Bayern Munich from 2007 up until 2019. So yeah, that's where he made his impact on the European stage.
And won at least one Champions League title I can remember with Mario Gomez. You had Dante, currently in Nice, 42-year-old. And you had, like you said, Robben cutting in. Same move, but no one can stop him. Arjen Robben. And Jupp Heynckes as a manager, I remember that. I think they beat Dortmund in the final at Wembley. And Franck Ribéry was, one of the top players in the world at that time. But before that, he helped Brest. Stade Brestois. Yeah. Amazing.
All right, a bit of recap on the Coupe that was played midweek last week. And so the 4 games we had was Lyon-Lens, Marseille-Toulouse, Strasbourg-Reims, and Lorient-Nice. And here, the quarterfinals, 3 out of 4 games ended up in penalties.
Tight.
And that says a lot. And we have Lens going through towards Lyon, even though they conceded a red card. And then Marseille losing against Toulouse. So we have Lens versus Toulouse in the first one. And then Strasbourg and Nice winning. So we have Strasbourg versus Nice. And these semifinals are played on the 21st and 22nd of April. And I think Lens are the big favorites now, taking the Coupe home.
For sure. I think them and Strasbourg is most likely final, and I think, as you say, Lens, because also Lens coming to Lyon away, going from there with a victory, I think is impressive, and looking strong. And I think what's really impressive for me with Lens is that they are far in the Coupe, and they are chasing PSG for the league title. I think what a season. Again, you keep thinking about that with Thauvin heading this team. It's impressive. But how much chance do you give Nice? Why are they here? They're struggling, but they're actually in the semifinals. I think they got a pretty smooth path, I must say. Strong to beat Lorient, but apart from that, the easiest path together with Strasbourg to a semi-final. Yeah,
I definitely agree. And I think that this might be their end of their journey in the Coupe, to be honest. I think Strasbourg will take this one.
Yeah, and home advantage for both the favorites in both legs, Lens and Strasbourg. And our final will be played on neutral ground, Stade de France.
Looking forward to that.
23rd of May.
Will we be there? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Over to Europe. What's ahead this week? We have PSG against Chelsea.
What a match.
In the Champions League.
What a match. It's time now for the superstars in PSG to start shining again, I feel. And some people have written about this match a bit as a revenge opportunity, given that they lost in the Club World Cup final to Chelsea last summer. I'm not sure if the players feel that way. I mean, only they can know. But I think either way, it's going to be super interesting. And that's the last time they played each other. I think before that, it was actually quite some years ago where they faced off. In 2016, if I don't recall wrongly. But Chelsea then, if we look at this opponent, what do we have? We have the 5th position in the Premier League, and they are headed by Rosinha, but also player-wise, I would say one of the strongest players for me in this Chelsea team is João Pedro. Scored some goals.
Yeah, and he scored against Aston Villa in their latest Premier League game. He scored 3 goals, and starting the season he did very well. And then, I mean, in the middle of the season, I don't know, his shape, and I think also considering when Chelsea changed coach from Enzo to Rosinha, him and the team lost some flow. But I would say in the last couple of games he's really picked up, and he will be a big threat for PSG. And I think Chelsea, they're always a team. You don't want to meet Chelsea. And just the last couple of games, they've been doing really well. And I think Rosinha is getting the team back on the right place. So I think they have a good chance of beating PSG in these 2 legs. If João Pedro keeps doing well, Fernandes has been great recently also. So it's just getting the defense okay, no red cards, and perhaps some magic from Palmer. And I think Chelsea has a good chance of going through this.
It will also be super interesting. You're speaking about some star quality players in Chelsea, and I think also with the attacking force that PSG has and the fantastic midfielder Vitinha, I want to mention Caicedo here as well in central midfield, who at times are spectacular and really giving a stability in the middle that any top team needs. But I think if we look back over at PSG, we talked a little bit about it, and I would say that Desiree Doué, we have Ousmane Dembélé, we have Vitinha. I think if these players can get into the top performance, it's going to be a struggle for Chalobah and Fofana in the defense for Chelsea. But PSG needs these players to head up into quality, because this is a different level now from the teams that they've been facing for a while. And losing, what do you think? Losing versus Monaco, could that have woken them up now last Friday?
I mean, it must have. They must have woken up from that game. I feel like it's maybe a loss they shouldn't have taken, and I really think that. But however, I mean, Chelsea's it's of course a good team, and especially as you say, it is on another level than what they're used to. So I think that PSG really needs to bring their A game into this.
And we have seen on Parc des Princes the last couple of years that the supporters in these European nights, they really love it. So I think we'll see a great atmosphere at the Parc des Princes. And hopefully PSG can bring the good, nice offensive spectacle, or the nice offensive they've shown before. And this will be a great game to watch.
For sure. One thing that I can say is that if Chelsea bring in the lap too early, I think they're in trouble, because they need João Pedro. I haven't watched too much of the lap, but from what I've heard, he has not been that impressive as a Chelsea striker so far. Maybe it's
he's had some injuries. He received an injury quite early, so he's never really gotten 90 minutes week in, week out. But I mean, yes, you can definitely consider him not performing as hoped when signed for this season.
He's not gonna put João Pedro on the bench, that's for sure. But then we have in the Europa League, we have Lille, oi, facing an English team as well. Aston Villa at home, Decathlon Stade Pierre Moray. And here, this one, I love this type of Europa League games, because this is when you can start comparing the quality in different leagues a bit more, I feel. These top teams, we know they are, head-to-head, they can put out an even fight. But bringing in Aston Villa versus Lille at this point, and Lille also rested some players this weekend to get ready for this one. So I think this is the big game for them this season.
And they're playing Aston Villa at the time of the year when their form has decreased. They have not won in the last couple of games, so Lille is meeting them at the right time. And Aston Villa also has United in between these back-to-back games. So they're playing Lille 12th, United away 15th, and then Lille at home on the 19th. So I think Lille has great chances of disturbing Aston Villa in these two games, even though I would say Aston Villa has a better team and should be able to go through this.
And head-to-head wise, they actually played each other in 2024 in the Conference League final stage, and they won one game each with 2-1, and eventually Lille got beaten on penalties. But I think Giroud back versus English team will be interesting. If we look at this Aston Villa team, though, I would say is Watkins the main threat, or who is the main player? You have Rodgers as well, been doing well.
Rodgers for sure. He's been their go-to guy. He's been scoring wonderful goals and been the player that really stepped up. Not only now scoring the 3-0 goal, he's been scoring the winning goals of the game, making sure Aston Villa has been keeping up with the top four. I would say Watkins has been somewhat of a disappointment this year, considering the amount of goals he scored last year. So Roger is definitely the biggest threat, and also their team in general. They have, up until the last couple of games, been good defensively and haven't conceded that much. Rodgers is definitely the biggest threat, I would say.
But then looking at Lille, I think we have Bentaleb, Boadi and André in midfield, which I think will need to put up a performance. I'm not sure who's going to score the goals. I mean, Lille doesn't have a main goal scorer, as we've seen throughout the seasons. I mean, several players have scored 5 goals, I think, throughout the season. So that might be a challenge, but I think super interesting, this one. And the same goes for the next one. We have Lyon facing off Celta Vigo from Spain in Europa League. And I think here, we've talked a bit about Lyon, but I must say that the Celta Vigo quality, I have a bit hard time understanding exactly where they are quality-wise. I mean...
they have Williot Svedberg, who's been doing very well recently, scoring and assisting. He made a great assist to Iglesias against Real Madrid. They played recently. So Iglesias and Svedberg up there has been doing very well.
The ones that they need to look out for is Iglesias, Svedberg, and also you're gonna find some Swedish in the defense when Starfelt is gonna need to deal with possibly Sulch if he's back. As we know, Lyon won't have Endrick, and a Lyon without Endrick, I would say, is a bit worse Lyon. But as always with Lyon, when it comes to these players, I would say that Tolisso is key, and Niakate in the defense. But we need Tolisso to come up in quality. Otherwise, apart from that, when you look at Celta Vigo, 6th place in La Liga, I see this as pretty even fight.
I would say so, and Celta Vigo have in the group stage in Europa League beaten both Nice and Lille. So they've beaten the French teams they have already faced in Europa League.
And the first match, it will be in northwestern Spain, in Vigo, now on Thursday. Do you think it's a big advantage for Lyon to start playing away?
I mean, I don't have the statistic in front of me, but everybody seemed to prefer playing home in the second leg. But, I mean, let's say they would, lose with 3-0. I don't know if that... I mean, it's hard. I would probably prefer to play the second leg at the home ground, but this game is open. I don't think this is going to be the decider of the outcome in these two legs.
I agree. We also need to mention that Strasbourg is heading to Croatia to play Rijeka in the Conference League, but the longer Strasbourg goes in that tournament, we might talk more about it. But the Conference League is the Conference League, and for now, we wait with that.
Well, what do we have any predictions for these Europa games? Well, let's start with PSG versus Chelsea. Will PSG take home that game? Charlie, what do you think?
I think here we have a few different opinions, actually. I see PSG as not clear favorites, but I would say they are favorites. They are overall a better team. We see Chelsea. I mean, we saw Chelsea against Napoli in the Champions League. They can do damage to plenty teams on an away ground. But I think as long as PSG get up to the right level with Doué, Vitinha, Dembélé, I think they will be hard to beat. I think they will be hard to beat at Parc des Princes for this Chelsea. Jeff, I think we have a bit different sides on this.
I think over 2 legs, Chelsea have a good chance, but I will say 2-1 PSG first leg.
And then Lille, Aston Villa, I would give... Here I must give Aston Villa... I heard you talk about the form, but I think to advance over 2 matches, they should be slight favorites. Because at Villa Park, it might be a tricky one for Lille in the away game. I would say Celta Vigo, Lyon, 50-50. I don't know. What do you think, Dennis?
Yeah, I agree 50-50 on that one too. I have a hard time judging Celta Vigo and what kind of caliber they can bring.
Yeah, it's so difficult. And also comparing, as I said, comparing clubs from different leagues is always tricky. So this one, it's...
I think small advantage Celta Vigo considering the team's form and the amount of games Lyon has played recently. Also considering they have Kluivert and Fofana injured and Endrick can't play. Sulci's gone. So 1 too many games for Lyon. So I'll give Celta Vigo the small advantage over these 2 legs.
I think that's the main point in this one. I see it as 50-50, but when I start thinking about the Lyon lineup that's possibly going to be here, if it's going to be Abner, Himbert and Karabec, I think Celta Vigo might go through. Then over to next weekend's Ligue 1 action. And here, there is one game I look forward to the most, and that's again the Friday match between OM and Auxerre. But to give my prediction, because it's that time of the episode we need to give some prediction, I would say that a rejuvenated and strong Rennes on Sunday evening will beat Lille in between these Aston Villa matches. Rennes, 3 straight victories with Frank Hess. We have Le Paul chasing Greenwood to be the top goal scorer. I see Rennes winning this one. They will have a full week's rest, and then you have just a few days between the Aston Villa match for Lille, coming with tired legs and might need to rest some players as well. So Rennes is pretty good odds as well. Rennes beating Lille.
That's a good one. I really like that one, yeah.
What do you say, Jeff?
I think Monaco is going to beat Brest. They have performed very well recently, coming from the PSG win, and they can really smell them to the top 3. They can see it. It's within distance, and these are the kind of games that needs to be won. So I think Monaco is going to win, and for those that have some extra courage, can play handicap also, because I think they might score 2 or 3 goals here.
Might win big. Dennis, bring it to us. Another spectacular one, is it? Is it another spectacular one today?
I think this it could be a spectacular one. I'm going to go bold
Again.
this week.
Let's go.
Again. I'm going to say Metz is taking home the win over Toulouse.
Unbelievable.
I think there's been very few goals in Toulouse's latest games, and they haven't been strong. And well, we know that Metz haven't been strong either. Although if this, I think this is the chance that they will get for a win.
I said a few match weeks ago that their chance was there when they played Auxerre, you remember. And they lost, and I deemed them as they might not grab many more points for the whole year. But I hear you. I think interesting one. You actually...
It's a bold
I'm just going to have a quick look at an example of what kind of money that might bring you. Metz Toulouse. Well, I don't find any viable odds yet. Okay, here we go. Almost 4 times the money. I mean, that's that's not that unlikely. But having less than 2 times the money if you place it on Toulouse in an away game, it kind of tells the story of how horrible Metz are, because Toulouse is in a pretty shaky form as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also what I base my prediction on, of course.
That's right.
Their shaky position. And I mean, if Metz could just score like 1 goal and then just not get scored on, I think, of course. But you never know.
It's almost like you're asking someone without legs to run, you know.
Yeah.
But I like it. Another bold one from Dennis is starting to become a habit. And to be fair, last week your bold bet was the closest one.
Oh yeah.
We give you that.
Okay, this is it for this week. We had a rambling week with some Ligue, Coupe football and some exciting European football to look ahead of. So we'll get back to you next week as usual. But until then, follow us on socials, subscribe, and give us a rating wherever you listen to our podcast. And remember to tell a football-loving friend. For queries, you're always welcome to reach out to lefootpodcast@gmail.com. Have a great week, and we'll all see you next Monday. Au revoir.